Hey guys, GoldeeJr plus Backtown more to your day, and I have not made a mock draft in a very long time. Even last year, my first mock draft was after like week 4, and we're currently just heading into week 7. So, yeah, it's been a while since I've done one of these mock drafts. So I think it's just about time. We're nearing halfway through the season. I think we kind of know how every team's going to be for the most part. Like, we know these bottom 4 teams probably aren't going to win much more than 5 games. Probably know that most of these top teams probably are going to the playoffs. But who knows? All this could change, but I got to make a mock draft, man. I have to. Of course, the Patriots are the first pick. I projected them to have the worst record. And right now, they are tied for it. The first pick, okay, it already started. Number 1 on this board is Luther Burden, but obviously the most popular players to pick right now are players like Travis Hunter, Austin Gentry, kind of stuff like that, because they are Heisman favorites. And QB isn't really a big issue for the Patriots, so they're going to probably go somewhere different. It's hard to think about what they're going to go with. But this is all, like, I'm thinking about this right now. I haven't made a decision before this. But I think if you're thinking Drake May needs help, I think you probably want to go Luther Burden with the first pick, possibly. But I don't know, man. I got to go best player available. And I think if the Patriots see Travis Hunter here and they get to choose between him playing receiver and DB, maybe even switch them between games. Like week 1 against the Eagles, perhaps, they see Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. They need him at corner. But then week 2, they play the Panthers, see their terrible secondary, and think, actually, no, we need you at receiver. I think Travis Hunter is a clear first pick here for the Patriots and the Browns. Wow. It's been a tough situation for them since they got Deshaun Watson. He's absolutely terrible. Not picking QB here is a huge mistake. So, there's no other option. They have to pick quarterback. I think Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in this draft class. He's great. He's not single-handedly, because Hunter's great too. But him and Hunter are double-handedly, I guess, keeping Colorado in every game they play in. So the first 2 picks are both from Colorado, which is crazy, because they're not going to the playoffs or anything. Like, it's crazy that the first 2 picks aren't even from a team that's any good. I mean, Colorado has some great stars, but we all know that as a team, they're not good enough to do anything in the postseason. Next, we got the Jaguars, who really shouldn't be here. They have too much talent on their roster to be the 3rd worst team in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence has been struggling. Their defense seems pretty bad. And I look here, I see Will Johnson as a real good option. McMillan from Arizona is really great. Mason Graham's amazing. Abdul Carter, Luther Burden, of course. Malachi Starks, like Emory Jones, possibly, if you want to help keep Lawrence from getting hit. It's hard to pick, but when I look at Will Johnson, I just see somebody that will revolutionize the whole side of the field. I'm not saying he's like Revis Island or anything, but Will Johnson is an amazing corner from Michigan. If I'm the Jaguars, that's who I'm going with for the 3rd pick. The Panthers. Do they pick QB? I don't think they do. I think the Panthers are going to pass on quarterback. Their offensive line is getting better. I don't think that's a problem. They've allowed a ton of points to teams like the Saints and the Falcons. Their defense could definitely use some help. But I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go receiver. I think they want more weapons. I think Deontay Johnson and Xavier Legette are not quite enough. I'm going to go Luther Burden here, but I think McMillan could be picked early on too. And then that's our first 4. Those are the worst teams in the NFL. Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, Will Johnson, and Luther Burden. Then we got the Los Angeles Rams here. This says our biggest need is quarterback. We have Benjamin Morrison here from Notre Dame as a potential pick. Let's see. Matthew Stafford isn't doing anything too special. They have a big open gap from not having no more Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. I don't think Mike White is on their team anymore either. This says their biggest need is corner linebacker, which linebackers are going to be the 5th pick in the draft, right? So this is a hard one. I think if I'm looking at the Rams, I'm thinking pass rush though. That's what I'd go with. I think their offense should be good enough. I think their defense is the main problem. I'm gonna go with let's go Abdul Carter out of Penn State. I think that makes a pretty good amount of sense. Which leads us to the Titans. It says that the offensive tackle, they did pick Peter Skoronski a little while ago. Hey, dang, receiver. I mean, if you're the Titans and you see I'm not going to even try to say his first name, but if you see McMillan, is there any way you don't pick him? I mean, there's some great offensive tackles, too. Of course, there's no trades in this mock draft, so it's really hard here. I mean, great offensive tackles still on the board, great receivers still on the board. I think those are the two positions you really need. This is hard. I think nowadays a good receiver is just so important, especially as you can see. I don't think the Vikings are an amazing team. I think they have a good defense, but I think the offense is almost completely carried by that man, Justin Jefferson. So I'm going to say, just because of how important receivers are nowadays, that McMillan will be the pick that the Titans go with. But then we got the Jets. This says they'll pick QB. I don't think they're going to pick QB. They just picked the receiver. I don't think they're going to pick tight end this early. I don't think any of those are things that they're going to be focusing on. Their defense is really good, though. Maybe they would go receiver because it's really hard to think about. I think what we're going to go with, though, actually, is offensive line. They lost, what's his name? Mekhi Becton, I believe. I'm not exactly sure what team he's on, but I know he's not on the Jets. I don't think Elijah Vera Tucker's really turned out crazy well or anything. I think if you're not going offensive tackle here, I think you're making the wrong choice. Let's go with... let's just go with Emory Jones. It's pretty close between him and Banks. You can see they're only one spot apart. The first offensive tackle goes to the Jets, which means out of the first 7 picks, only 2 of them have been... Well, I guess Travis Hunter's technically been defense, too. Which leads us to the Bengals. This is interesting. The Bengals are a really interesting team. Offense really struggled against the Giants. They beat the Panthers by a little bit, but, I mean, they're the Panthers. It says their number 1 need receiver, which, I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, really. Then tight end, then edge rusher. I think they need a secondary, man. This secondary on the Bengals is absolutely atrocious. I think you're looking at Malachi Starks. I think you're definitely looking at Benjamin Morrison. Siobhan Rever is injured, but we know he's a great quarterback despite being in a not very prestigious college, I'll say. By the way, if you want to see some East Carolina football that's actually good, you should check out my playlist of ECU Dynasty on my other channel, GoldeeJr, where I am doing a season 7 now, which is insane to think about. But I will go Benjamin Morrison. Quarterback's just a lot more important than safety. It's sad to say because I love Malachi Starks, but he's probably going to be picked a little bit later in the draft. The Saints, people say Cameron Jordan is falling off, and I would completely disagree. Mason Graham, Malachi Starks, and Mike Williams are all great picks for the Saints here. I think they could pick receiver too, honestly. Just somebody to complement Chris Olave. But I don't think that's going to be what their pick is. Like, it's got to be one of these 3 that are already in front of us here. And if I'm the Saints, I'm not thinking Malachi Starks. And I'm not really thinking interior either. I have to go Michael Williams for the Saints here. It sucks to have a Georgia player go to one of maybe my least favorite team in the NFL. But it just makes a lot of sense for the Saints. And that leaves the Cardinals wide open to pick Mason Graham if they want to. But I could also see them going for backup. Not really a backup, but another receiver. Because Harrison can't do it all on his own. I constantly see Murray out the pocket too. I'm not sure if that's because he's always pressured or because he just likes running. But that is also a possible pick. What do we go with here? I think it's kind of got to be Mason Graham. I think that makes a lot of sense. The Cardinals do need a lot of help on their defensive line. I think that's a pretty obvious pick here, which leads us to the Raiders, and they have loved how this draft has turned out. Sure, they didn't get their top guy, which was probably Shedeur Sanders, but after that, there have been no QBs picked, which leaves them to pick whoever they want out of these top 4 guys. And I know it might sound weird to you, because I don't think Miller was the most talented QB out of these 4. I'd probably go with either Cameron Ward or Quinn Ewers, but with how popular running QBs are now, I don't think it really matters. Miro's so good on his legs that I think teams would just pick him. And after they probably saw it and said 40 time or any other great agilic. That's not a word, I don't think. Anyway, athletic abilities. I think Milroe would be the top pick just because of how his breed of quarterback is going so high in the draft nowadays. The Raiders would be very happy to get him at 11. That leads us to the Giants, who also are kind of in a QB constraint. They are using Daniel Jones. He's been terrible this year, but he's definitely not the answer if they want to win games. They also don't have a running back after the absence of Saquon Barkley, and we're also wondering when will Genty be picked. Where's he even ranked on this board? 24, so it's not too low. That's like Lord and Bijan was though a few years ago. Let's see. Actually, it's only 2 years ago. Anyway, Giants. This is tough, dude. I think they have to go QB though. I mean, it's just such an important position, and we know and they know Daniel Jones isn't the answer. I'm gonna go Quinn Ewers out of Texas. I'm sure Bagel would like that. He is a Texas and Giants fan. I think Quinn Ewers is the best out of Ward, Beckett himself. I'm gonna go with Quinn Ewers there, but I could very well see it being a running back. Next, we got the Dolphins. They don't need running back at all. They've got A-Chain, they got Mostert, two of the fastest players in the NFL. It's probably, I mean, man, their team is just completely shut down after losing to, this says they need offensive guard, but they're probably not going to pick offensive line. They could use some help in that secondary with Malachi Starks. They're not going to pick receiver either. I mean, this is probably just best player available spot, right? But they could pick Nick Scourton too. They could definitely use an edge rusher. James Pierce definitely is a good option. Let's go Malachi Starks. He has fallen a little bit through to him being number 9. He gets drafted at 13. I can be fine with that. The last Georgia safety to go to the Dolphins was Rashad Jones, and he's pretty amazing. Now we got the Seahawks, and this leaves them with a perfect spot to get Nick Scourton. But I'm actually going to go James Pierce here. I think he's the better player, but also I'm not a pro on college football. I've only been watching it for a few years now, actually, intently. I've heard a lot of good things about James Pierce. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe he's not that great, but I think James Pierce is a really good option here. Seahawks may call to reach a little bit. I think they'd be pretty happy if they got James Pierce. Broncos, that offense isn't very good. It's got to be something offensive. It's got to be offensive line or receiver, something to help Bo Nix. Let's see. Kelvin Banks, it's probably got to be him. It's not like Nix isn't getting beat up over there. And can you name an offensive lineman on the Broncos? Let's go Kelvin Banks. And then for the Cowboys, it's weird to see them this poor, but what is their problem? Both sides of the ball seem to be absolutely terrible this year. But I think a very worrying need for the Cowboys is really just CeeDee Lamb out there. I'm going to go with Ashton Jeanty. I think Jerry Jones likes best player available. That man's a beast. They need running back insanely badly. They probably are very happy that he fell to 16. If I'm the Cowboys, if I see Jeanty at 24 and we don't draft him, I'd be very angry. Next, we got the Eagles, who have been a very disappointing offense this year. I don't know what it is. They have Saquon. They have a great receiver core. They have a great QB, an amazing offensive line. I think it's maybe the coaching. And assuming it's the coaching, I don't think they draft offense. I think they go with defense. Linebackers are a problem for them. The Kobe Dean hasn't exactly panned out, but also the edge rushers aren't very amazing either. I think that's where you go Scourton. I know he's fallen a little bit, but this is the spot where he falls to the Eagles. I think he'd be pretty happy with that. Bears, offensive line, defensive line. There's literally nothing else for them to pick. I mean, if you're not picking that and you're the Bears, what are you picking? Okay, let's see. Will Campbell, definitely a good option. Tyreek Williams out of Ohio State. Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. What about, so we got, yep. Okay, so Will Campbell's really the only good option for right now. Or Princely, last name. Or Tyreek Williams. Or Kenneth Grant. I think that's a good pick, too. I think edge rusher just is valued more than all the rest of these positions. I think it's that simple. It's just, edge rusher is very valued. We see Williams do well even without the amazing offensive line. I think they're going to go Princely, Uman Milan? Okay, anyway, he's picked, which leads to the Colts. Their number 1 need is tight end. They're not picking tight end. I just don't think a tight end's going in the first round unless there's someone elite like Kyle Pitts. I think it's foolish to pick tight end, personally. I think they have to move down to their other needs, which are safety, quarterback, edge, and linebacker. And honestly, if I'm the the Colts, and I see Siobhan Ruffles still on the board due to injury, I'm immediately picking him. But I could see them pick receiver as well. 49ers having a disappointing season so far. They're like, 4-3? Not really what you expect from the Super Bowl competitors last year. They need offensive tackle, quarterback, defensive tackle, edge, and linebacker. Okay. The offense probably could use some work. Purdy isn't having such a great time over there. Defense is probably fine, but they probably could use some secondary help, if I'm being honest. Let's see. Let's go full Campbell. I think they're just going to go simple. Trent Williams is not going to be there forever. It's that simple. Draft for the future if you're the 49ers. Next, we got the Chargers, which I've always had high hopes for them, but I not have hopes for this year. They're doing pretty decent. They're not doing too badly. I think they're 3-3 at number 21 in the draft. They're not going to go QB, so these guys are still falling. Actually, I think receiver is where the Chargers are going to go. After losing Kid Allen, Mike Williams being basically just left with Quentin Johnston, I know they have somebody to replace. I'm not exactly sure. Either way, you still want a third guy, and I think Isaiah Bond is a perfect option. People love speed receivers nowadays. It's like the most important trait of a receiver, almost. How fast they can run. You see Xavier Worthy. You see Tyreek Hill. You see, what's his name? John Ross, picked early just because he was fast, even though he wasn't any good. Anyway, Bucks are next. All right. Let's see. Their secondary could definitely use some help. It seems like when Winfield got hurt, that entire position just collapsed for the Bucks, and their offense is doing really well. So I think Denzel Burke is a pretty obvious pick here for the Bucks. Okay. Ravens, they always say Lamar needs a weapon because he's throwing it to Isaiah Likely right now. I don't know if that's exactly what you want. But your offense is so good. Like, do you really want to pick offense? Like, are you sure you want to pick offense? I mean, it's so good. You might as well just pick a defensive player or just go best player available. So that's probably what I'm going to do. So these are the best options for the Ravens. Ooh, Crenshaw Judkins. If they didn't have Derrick Henry, I'd be very interested in that. Harold Perkins, actually. Probably fits the best. I would probably dodge defensive line if I'm the Ravens. They still have Roquan, but they don't have Patrick Queen anymore. One linebacker isn't really going to cut it. Let's go with that. Let's go with Harold Perkins out of LSU. They're not usually known for defense, but they've got some stars there this year. Now we've got the Packers. Usually when you think of the Packers, you think of they have no receiving weapons, but they're doing pretty well with Jordan Love this year, so we're going to probably avoid receiver. Interior defensive line could definitely use some help. I agree with this. Quarterback, and I mean, the two defensive tackles are still you are in the face, Tyreek Williams and Kenneth Grant. I think if you pick one of them, you'd be completely fine. We're going to go with Grant here, which leads to the Bills. Quarterback, edge, receiver, offensive tackle, running back. That's weird. I think James Cook is doing good for himself there, but I guess this is what their needs. We got Takario Davis out of Arizona. What are their needs? Edge rusher, receiver. They just got Amari Cooper. Who else do they have at receiver? I know they got Keon Coleman. I don't think they go to receiver. I think it's got to be quarterback or edge. And let's see. Ooh, Jalen Walker's a good pick, but I don't think he'd get picked here. Let's go to Takario Davis out of Arizona. They traded that Buka hasn't getting picked yet. Or do I go with Tyreek Williams? Let's go with the quarterback. Let's go. Anyway, next is the Steelers. All right. Wait, what? No, it's not. It's the Commanders. They need quarterback, receiver. Making Jay Daniels even more electric sounds like a great idea. Their defense is actually really good. I mean, I'm looking at Emeka Ibuka, and I'm thinking, listen, man, we're already a great team. Let's go Quinshon Judkins for Commanders. I know they've got some decent running backs. Let's add to that core with Judkins. And then let's go with the Steelers now, who they can use really any position. Their offense seems to really fall off sometimes. I think the Commanders going with Judkins leaves a wide open hole for them to go with Egbuka. I don't know if that's the type of receiver that Tomlin would pick first round, but I mean, you gotta try something, right? Now we've got the Lions. They'd be the type of team to draft a tight end for no reason, but I don't think they do that. We gotta move on. They said they need defensive tackle. I really wanted to pick Tyreek Williams a little bit earlier, but this will definitely work out. Next, we got the Falcons. You know, I gotta think about this one because I'm a Falcons fan, and honestly, no, I'm not gonna think about this one. Jalen Walker, right there, Georgia, of course, hometown, home state, and then also edge rusher. Falcons really, really, really need it. Let's go with Jalen Walker here in the first round. Next is the Titans, and they defensive tackle, quarterback, running back, receiver, and linebacker. I honestly think their offense is fine. Okay, so I think the defensive line is where they will go here, and I think D.L. Walker is right there out of Kentucky. He's one of the reasons that they've been so actually not terrible this year because of their great defense. I've convinced myself, but also D.L. Walker is. I mean, Todd Booker isn't a bad pick either. Let's go with Walker now, though. Chiefs. They're so great at every level, so it's kind of hard to pick something here. Let's see. I mean, Mahomes I feel like he has the weapon now. The offense is so creative. Maybe just get some more consistency on the defense. They could just pick the tight end and get over it, but I don't think they're going to do that. It's crazy, man. I've not picked many quarterbacks at all. I mean, what's the last time a QB has been picked? The Raiders? No, the Giants had 12. Anyway, Chiefs. They'll have. I don't think they currently have their running back right now, but that doesn't mean he's going to come back. That's not really a need for them. I think they could go quarter and replace Snead. I think that's what will make them do. Is Hancock the only good option? Yes, he is for the next 22 picks. Okay, Jordan Hancock from Ohio State, and finally we've got the Vikings, who, I mean, they could use receiver. But Jordan Addison and Jefferson probably is enough for McCarthy next year, or whoever it ends up being. So, defensive tackle, that's valid. I think they could use defense here. Okay. Let's see. I think that's really the only option here, defensive line. Actually, no, let's go Barrett Carter out of Clemson. I think that makes a lot of sense. Linebacker, Kiko's been good, but let's go with another option. And that concludes my mock draft. I wish we could see the whole mock draft instead of just these specific draft picks. Oh, full result. Alright, here it is. Screenshot it and then talk about how terrible it is. I don't really care, but I enjoy this. And if you do, make sure to like the video. Stay tuned for any other future videos. I don't re-record that much anymore. If you want to see more consistency, I definitely upload videos every weekend on GoldeeJr. So definitely check that one out. See you guys next time. Adios.